Well, a very good evening to you race fans, or good morning I suppose if you're on the other side of the world to us. Welcome back once again to Tuesday Night Racing here with Alliance Sim Racing and the SolarGuard Supercar Championship. Season 6 hits round 2 tonight, and we come to you from the world famous Watkins Glen for what promises to be an absolute cracker of a race, as it always is here with ASR and a field of very, very competitive drivers. This is, of course, one of the most beloved road circuits in the world. I don't care what you say, it's a great place to come racing. We're running the classic boot layout tonight, and after the season opener at Phillip Island, this one is sure to add a whole other challenge for these drivers this evening. My name is Jared Cole. It's great to be back with you once again this week, and tonight with Ryan Palmer and Josh Harris both legs up in the chairs and just having a beer down at Bathurst ahead of this weekend's big race. I am joined by a new voice in the booth this evening, joined by a person who I'm quite happy to say I've poached from our good friends over at TrackSpot TV for the night. Isaac Fogarty, welcome to ASR, mate.
Yeah, good evening, Jared. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Very grateful that TrackSpot have allowed me to step in the booth tonight and commentate on what's sure to be some really action-packed supercars racing here at Watkins Glen. One of the best tracks, one of the best road courses in the world. A very technical, very tight circuit, and re-profiled curbs as well here recently with iRacing. So I'm sure to throw up some curveballs for our drivers tonight, so very much looking forward to it.
Absolutely will. The temps are a little high on track this evening as we start to look to get underway. 33 degrees on track, 18 in air, so the track temp I'm sure are going to come down. We'll go for a bit of a hot lap with ASR's very own Simon Haynes in just a moment, but let's talk race format for tonight. The drivers out there doing some lone qualifying right now. Race number 1 this evening, the sprint is 11 laps around Watkins Glen, and then followed up by a 25 lap race 2 with a reverse top 5 grid from the first race. We're running a couple of different race rules tonight. Again, the 2 compulsory stops playing into race number 2, so pit strategy, as always, will be an important one, and the fuel restriction remains at 60% of the tank capacity, so drivers will need to keep a close eye on that fuel burn, as always, to try and just get the most out of these cars. And of course, the Gen 3 supercars, Isaac, famous for how strong the undercut is. I'm not going to be surprised at all if we see a bit of that tonight.
Absolutely not. These cars do love a good undercut, and especially if you're doing tyres, it's going to pay absolute dividends for the person that comes in first, that blinks first. So if you're looking for track positioning, undercut is absolutely the way to go. 60% fuel restriction. It's going to throw up a few issues with fuel tonight, a few question marks over who does what with fuel. Do you save a bit of fuel, or do you just go all out and put in a bit more fuel at each stop? How much time is that going to save you? Those are the questions I'm sure our drivers have been spending this practice session trying to work out, get their head around, and we're going to find out tonight who's nailed the strategy and how that's going to pay off for our drivers as we get into that 25-lap race later this evening.
Absolutely spot on, and I can tell you, as always, a competitive field here tonight. The distance in our qualifying that's going on in the background at the moment, from first place to 22nd. First place right now, Dean Logsdale, a 1:49.45, and only 3.5 seconds behind is 22nd place. So there is not a lot in this. In fact, the top 11 separated by less than a second, if my maths is any good. Before we go and get it ready for racing, though, we've got another 3 or 4 minutes up our sleeve while the drivers do finish off their qualifying lap. So if you're not familiar with Watkins Glen, let's take you on a bit of a ride around. Duster, Porsche, great to have you along with us. Thanks for dropping on in. We'll go on board now with Simon Haynes in the SolarGuard Quantum Racing entry, as he took a bit of a hot lap for us earlier in the week. And as we come down the main straight, you can see it's a very, very fast run, then a slight downhill as you come to turn 1, the 90. It's a deceptively slow turn, and you've got to jump on out to the far left, really use a whole lot of that curb to get the best pace through there, then uphill through the S's, and this one's always fun, flat out, but you do have to watch the understeer as you come through this fast left. It does tend to push you out, especially on cold tyres, towards that right-hand wall, then down the back straight, full noise as we keep heading on down. Now we get to the bus stop, which some leagues pull out, some leave in. These curbs particularly have been upgraded. I say upgraded, they've been changed a bit for this rescan. It has made a big difference, but still very quick through there, and then down through the loop. starts into the downhill run, and this is where you start to get to the beginning of the boot section as you hit the chute here. Again, a tricky left-hander. Just got to balance these ones on the edge of slipping that rear out, and then back on the throttle as we head towards the toe, which is it's a weird what's the word I'm looking for? Elevation change here. Jeez, Isaac, it's going to be one of those nights, mate. But coming sort of uphill and a really odd camber, but then straight back on the noise and ready for a hard brake as you hit the heel section here. And again, deceptively slow corner. It looks like there's so much track, but you'll find yourself outside of limits on the left there very, very quickly if you're not careful. A tight left-hander, almost a hairpin, but not quite. Starts to point you back towards the start-finish line, and then just 2 corners to go. At this point, you're thinking about whether you're heading to the pits or not, because it is a tricky pit entry. Fairly consistent speed through the left-hander here, and if you are heading to the pits, you need to be over to the right here, because that's where the pit entry starts, and this is the danger. Cars cutting that final corner. If you're heading for the pits, you need to make your intentions very, very clear. That is a hot lap of Watkins Glen with Simon Haynes and Solagard's St. Gobain. Tell you what, as tracks go, it's one of my favourites, Isaac. I cannot wait for us to get out there and do a bit of racing tonight.
It's definitely one of, I think, the best, as I said earlier, the best road courses in the world. There's a lot to love about this circuit. The bus stop, it's going to throw up some challenges as they all run down towards it for the first time, and it can definitely catch you out. I really love watching NASCAR race around here, so supercars, I'm sure, are going to be just as good to watch, because these cars are very slidey, not a lot of aero to hold these cars to the ground, which is what we love, because it's all about flowing the car. Can you get a slide through the chicane? That's where you'll find all your time, I think, is through that bus stop chicane, and then on the run down the hill into the boot and the heel. So it's going to be great to watch how they all go, and I think the times from qualifying have been pretty competitive so far.
Yeah, and look, they always are here with ASR. We're just a moment away from checking out the grid. We'll take a very, very quick look at the standings from round 1. I mean, there's not much to say after a single round, but Connor Nixon absolutely dominant for round 1, so he'll be one to keep an eye on this evening, with Jason Benson, Ken Latta not too far off the pace as well. Spare a thought, though, for Mark Point and Jamie Dyke. They'll still be in amongst it, and still plenty of quick names there inside that top 10, and indeed further back in the championship standing. It's only one round, so we won't dwell on it too long, because of course drop rounds and plenty of time left in this season before we start to get too excited about who's standing where in that championship. Just a few more seconds left, and we will have the official results from Race Control ready to bring you the grid for race number 1 for this 11-lap sprint. And it looks as though, and I don't want to preempt it before we get the official numbers, but Dean Logsdale, he's done it. He's finally got himself a pole. He's a quick driver any given week, and he's put it all together here tonight for qualifying. Finds himself on pole with Ken Latta alongside. Row 2 is Matt Vanderkraan and Wayne Walker, then Andrew Rushworth and Luke Allman, followed by Connor Nixon and Sean Vandermeulen. Daniel McCrowan and Alex Kiedis round out your top 10 for race number 1. Chad Vigar and Jim Caparonis then line up ahead of Damon Fisher and Jason Bentz, with Mick Clifton and Michael Whiting behind them. David Coleman and Stephen Varga, that'll be a good battle off row 9. Then Phil Manuel and Alistair Bales rounding out your top 20, with Joel Lustaval and James Hardy just outside. Mitch Wood and Rick Vigar behind them, with Troy Sipple and Todd Martin, the 2 Quantum Racing teammates, on row number 13. Lucky for some, hopefully. Simon Farrington from Shadow Racing lines up next to Darren Walden, then Andrew Johnston, and Matthew Fu makes an appearance tonight at number 30. Craig Rose and Ashley Hall behind them, with David Logsdale and Jamie McKnight. Brad Hayes, the last man on the grid, with Tim Nicol and Brad Grant, our safety car pilots for this evening. We are getting ready to go racing here for race number 1 at Watkins Glen, round 2 of the Solagard Supercar Championship, season 6 about to kick off. And Isaac, tell you what, it's a good sized field once again this evening, and I reckon probably going to see a few things off the start line. Turn 1 is always a tricky one here at Watkins, and on a Gen 3 set of tyres, there's not going to be a lot for these guys to work with in terms of pulling the cars up.
No, it's going to be a very tricky turn 1, I think, with these cold tyres. Spare a thought for them as they run down towards the bus stop chicane for the first time as well. That's going to be quite difficult on a cold set of tyres, but it's going to make great for us at home, for us in the booth and for you at home to watch along, because It's cold tyres. It always adds a little bit of drama, and you can see the cars slowly starting to make their way to the field. Missing a few cars at the front still at the moment. Wayne Walker on the grid. Still waiting for the top 3 though to find their way to the front. So I don't think we're too far away, but only a short race here to kick things off. And I'm very much looking forward to, I have to say, Jared. Yeah, this turn 1, how this is going to go, because this is sprint racing at its finest. It's going to be all gloves off as they run down to that corner, because in a sprint race, position matters.
Oh, it absolutely does. And Dean Logsdale has set himself up beautifully. Some good support for him in the chat as well, as Van Meulen comes back home with 95 SimSport. Now that's an update that I didn't catch before this evening. So yeah, Van der Meulen may not be listed under 95. We might have to get that fixed up for you there, Logra. We'll see. Sure, McNamara, good to have you in the chat, mate. Notice you're not on track tonight, and I think everyone will be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief after your performance at the Bathurst 1000, mate. And Mark Poynton, away on holidays. I don't know. How do you take holidays over a night of racing Gen 3 supercars? That's a choice, mate. No, seriously, enjoy it. I'm sure it'll be good fun. We're about to get underway here for Heat 1. We're just waiting on confirmation from race control and the green flag at the back of the field, which I think we've just had. So we are ready to go racing. The lights come up and Logsdale will load that car up on the trans brake as we get ready to go. We've got 5 lights and we are green for lap 1 here at Watkins Glen, and a huge start from Matt van der Kraan as he charges towards the front of the pack off the line. He's always been strong, and this time finds himself on the inside, but Ken Latta has made it through as well. So we go through turn 1 and Ken Latta has jumped immediately up to first place, with Van der Kraan and Wayne Walker getting through on Dean Logsdale, as well as a head up through the S's for the first time. The rest of the field trying to sort themselves out behind because they don't want to miss out on this slipstream. You can see Logsdale already trying to fight his way back up through the field. He takes a big look up the inside. They come down the back straight. Full noise on their way to the bus stop. And here we go through for the first time. Have a look at the pace these guys are carrying through the bus stop, Isaac. It's a hell of a way to start off a race.
Absolutely a way to start off a race. Look at this, yeah, just the way those cars behave across the curves through the bus stop is amazing. And then through now towards the boot for the first time. These guys down the hill, and it's not been the start that Dean Logsdale would have wanted. He's gone backwards off the front row, but Ken Latta has had a brilliant start from the front row. He's up into the lead of this race, and then Van der Kraan is up into second. Wayne Walker as well, reigning champion, gets another spot and up into third. So Dean Logsdale's gone backwards. A couple other drivers that have moved up and down at the moment is Connor Nixon's up a spot as well into sixth off the start here. And
big move up the inside there from the Quantum Racing entry. Just trying to see who that is that we're looking at.
It's McCronin is who we're on board with, who we're following at the moment, by the looks of it.
Looks like it was Jason Bentz actually getting past Damon Fisher. Always tough at the start of the race, particularly with so many of the team entries in here, particularly from Quantum. The team has got massive. Take a look at the distance from this wall as they come out of that final turn. And we go down to start the lap number 2. We'll start to change it up a bit here, guys. And as always, in the chat, if you want us to check in on anyone particular, then just give us a shout. And we'll try and bring a bit of the action to you and keep a bit of focus on. But right now, everyone just starting to settle in. Danny McCrone finds himself in 10th at the moment with Alex Kiedis in front and Jim Caparonis behind, who we haven't actually seen until tonight for this season. So good to have Jim back with us, unless I did miss him in race 1, which is possible because there was so much going on. Here we go through the bus stop once again. Have a look at him bounce over it. I reckon this one is probably about the closest you'll get these days to the Gold Coast chicane. I don't think you'll get much closer than this in iRacing at the moment, particularly since they removed since they beefed up the curbs at Daytona.
That we're getting Adelaide very soon to this game, so I'd very much like to see that and how the curbs behave there, because that's a very Gold Coast-esque. For now, there's what to do. Move up the inside, little locks the front, and that's contact between Manuel and
David Coleman. David Coleman's gone around, and as always, we saw this last week as well. When Coleman gets turned, he has a tendency to get a little excited with the throttle. And get a little aggressive in trying to get it moving again. That's cost him a huge amount of time. So, I don't know. I think he just likes a good burnout, honestly. and I'm here for it. Why not?
Circle work is always welcome, I think, especially in these cars. It's so easy to just gas it up a little bit and flick the car around, and that's exactly what he's done, especially when there's overheating in the tyres. Looks like the inside there from Bentz. Got a bit of work to do. Second place in the championship at the moment for Jason Benson. He's all the way down in 13th place in this race, so not the qualifying that he would have wanted to put him up the top of the field. So he's got his work cut out for him tonight to try and move forward in this race and in the second race as well. Hopefully in the second race he can have a bit of strategy that goes his way, but he's got Chad Vidra in front of him at the moment, which isn't going to make it easy in the Angry Birds racing car to get past.
No, he won't, and never does either. We drop just a little bit further back to Mick Whiting. Michael Whiting was in the GT3s last night and has jumped into the Gen 3s tonight, so swapping it up, this will be a very different drive to a GT3 car. But that doesn't seem to be slowing him down. He's holding off Mick Clifton at the moment as they make their way through the bus stop once again. Further back through the field, Mitch Wood and Troy Sipple battling it out for 23rd and 24th. And Mitch, the new entry here, privateer entry, unless he's got a team name that I need to update. And if so, Mitch, give us a shout and we'll get that sorted for you. But yeah, look, all going on. We will jump back up front though, because the battle from these front three, not much has changed, but the times are getting tighter and tighter. The gap between them just ever so slightly narrowing with every corner. I don't know who's going to put a move on first, but I'm tipping it'll be Wayne Walker. He'll just be checking out the weaknesses in Vanderkroon and Ladder's drive and just picking which corner he's going to make the move on. He's not going to have a lot of time to do it though, because only 11 laps here in race number 1, so he's going to have to think about getting a move on pretty soon.
It's sort of a catch-22 in these cars, isn't it? You've got to have a bit of patience to find a way past, but you can't have patience in a sprint race like this. We've already had 3 laps gone, as you said, and we're about to start lap 4, which means the time is running out. There's still over half the race left for Wayne to try and get past, but the time is still running out. And this top 4 fairly close together. Rushworth's not too far off the back of the rim, but these are sort of the top, I don't know, even the top sort of 17 cars all within a second of the car in front and behind. As I say that, Michael Clifton's dropped back a little bit on Michael Whiting. But it seems that, yeah, these cars are pretty close together at the front at the moment, and someone who's pretty close to the car in front is this man on our screen, Connor Nixon, race winner last time out, looking to pull his way back through the field and getting up another spot. Will actually put him on pole, the original pole for the next race, and get into that 5th place. That's
what he'll have his eye on here. Andrew Rushworth is going to have to really keep a very, very close eye on his rear view, because Nixon will want that pole position for race 2, and he only has to get past one person to get there at this stage. Just taking a look at some of the rest of the field here, and g'day, you've got to be joking, just calling you out. Once again, Isaac, I tell you what, mate, you've got a bit of a fan base that comes with you every time. But we'll take a look further back in the field. James Hardy now under some pressure from Mustaval and Bales, and this little trio for 18th, still the battle going on. This is one of the great things about supercar racing, isn't it? You were saying before, 16, 17 cars all pretty well in the first battle pack, as we see Rushworth now under serious pressure from Connor Nixon. This will be interesting into turn 1, so we'll keep our eyes peeled up front here. But this is supercar racing at its finest, isn't it? Look at the lineup of traffic behind. There's so little between all of these drivers in this entire field. And so you end up with just these massive trains, and I tell you what, there's not many cars that found anything like this on the iRacing service. It's one of my favourite sounds when they come screaming past one of our cameras like this.
You just can't go past a good old-fashioned V8 engine, can you? The sound that they make is absolutely unbelievable. Definitely one of the best sounding cars in the game, one of the best sounding cars in racing in general, I think. And being showcased here on full display this evening on circuit to pick to showcase just what these cars can do. And this is the 048 car. Get past, I believe that's Sipple in front. It is Troy Sipple. So Mitch Wood and Troy Sipple going at it at the moment. It pretty much just sums up what we're seeing tonight from pretty much the entire field so far. It's just cars that are nose to tail, trying to find a way past, getting in the slipstream, but they're just close enough to the car in front. As well is Troy Sipple, that he can sort of not have to fall victim to the slipstream there, but he can go in front. This is Hardy He's trying to get past. Is that Phil Manuel in front?
No, Oosterwald just on the back of Hardy. Sorry, the timing tower just throwing you for a bit of a curveball. Phil Manuel he's got a huge bit of space in front of him.
He
James
does,
Hardy
yes.
really holding the front of this train with Oosterwald, Bales, Vigas, Farrington, Troy Sipple, Mitch Wood, all right in there. So this is what you get, right? You're in 18th spot, and you've still got a battle pack from 18th back to 24th that's separated by a grand total of 2 seconds. God, I love this league. It's great fun. Bales gets through on Oosterwald, so he's now up behind James Hardy. And in the background, there's contact. That's Rick Vigar and Troy Sipple. Of course it is. Vigar and Sipple, again. These guys love to race hard, and it's not the first time we've seen them come together. The two league admins will no doubt have a chat about that one, but race control will be all over it, I'm sure. Let's jump forward. We've got Jim Caperonis that we'll keep an eye on. You've got a lap car there in David Logsdale who's just staying right out of the way as the rest of the field charges on through. We are just over the halfway point of this race, and still no clear winner out in front. Ladder, Van der Kraan, Wayne Walker unchanged, with Dean Logsdale and Andrew Rushworth still managing to hold off the attack for now from Connor Nixon. But Jason Bentz, man on a mission. He's only up 2 spots, but he's putting big pressure on. A bit of contact there with the rear bar of Caperonis, just giving him a nudge along. Caperonis barely keeps it from sliding across the grass, and Bentz, rightfully so, will back it off just a little to redress that one, but he'll be having another shot at that in just a couple of turns, I guarantee it. As we see the first drive-through penalty coming through for car number 868, that's Stephen Varga, for an incident with car 640 David Coleman on lap 2, which we saw pretty clearly in our pictures.
Yeah, not surprised race control have actioned that, given the 866 car a drive through, so we'll be probably not too happy about that in behind the wheel at the moment, but I would suggest that's pretty fair coming from race control, and a good call after the contact that we saw. This battle continues to rage on. This is Van Warren, and he's got that is Kias behind him for company. These cars, look at those top 6 cars.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Barely separated by anything. It's
Gotta love it.
Absolutely ridiculous. It's so good to watch.
We jump back up front. Connor Nixon has a big moment, just goes very, very wide on the second to last corner, and he's going to have to get it working. You can see he's pushing that card so hard to try and reel in Andrew Rushworth. Meanwhile, Ladder, Van der Kraan and Walker out in front. Nothing changing, but ever so slight little just little pushes here and there just to test each other out. It's almost processional, but I guarantee these guys are thinking 5-6 corners ahead and trying to get set up for whatever passing move they might get, and just looking for any small mistake, because it only takes a 10th here and it changes everything. Daniel McCrowan's around. Don't know what's happened to McCrowan, but that is probably the luckiest spot that he could have come to rest, because he's well out of the way of traffic. We'll go back and we'll take a look, see if we can catch just what happened there. I think he might have done it to himself through turn 1. Sure enough, it's the curbs that catch you there. If you go too far out, they've put a huge amount of extra camber on those curbs, and it will absolutely spit your car sideways if you're a bit unbalanced as you come over the top of them. Now Walker starting to get just a little closer to the end of Matt Van der Kraan's car. Lap 7 of 11. It's it's getting tight here, and I have a suspicion that Van der Kraan's probably expecting a move to be put on any moment now. Let's jump on board with him and take a look back from the Angry Birds Racing entry. And tell you what, he's not going to see much in the mirrors other than the front end of Wayne Walker's Accelerate Sim Racing livery, because that guy is all over the back of him right now.
He's right on the back of the 180 car. He's been sizing up for a fair while now. He should know where Van der Kraan is vulnerable to an overtake. He'll know where he's strong, where he's not as strong. And Wayne Walker is a very seasoned operator, obviously the reigning champion, so he knows how to get the job done. This is Connor Nixon. Something to look up
big think about it for turn 1.
He did. He had a big think, didn't he?
He's pushing hard. He wants that 5th spot, and he's finally reeled Rushworth in. If it's not here, look at this, up the inside of the S's, just charges on through. you got to get it done, and that's the way to do it in Gen 3 supercars. It always requires just a little bit of rubbing of panels, and Nixon just pushes on through, makes the hole, and he rushes on through into 5th ahead of Andrew Rushworth from Accelerate Sim Racing. So getting there, if he can hold on for just a few more laps, he'll be starting at the front row of the grid, but looks as though there's a few challenges on the way as well. Luke Ormond, Sean Van Meulen, Alex Kiedis, all are right there as well. Still plenty going on throughout the pack. Daniel McCrowan now just giving up a spot to Darren Walden, but takes it back on the inside. So he's gotten rolling again, hasn't fallen all the way down through the field, but he'll be picking that one up. Meanwhile, Simon Farrington has Mitch Wood on his tail as they come down towards the boot. This is a really tough spot to be thinking about to pass. That downhill change of elevation just really does mess with your braking. You've got to be so careful. You see Mitch Wood having a big moment as he slides the car through, and that can really come undone very, very quickly. But you'll see that from all of these drivers here tonight. They'll be on the absolute rugged edge of control, and that's what it takes to be quick in a Gen 3 supercar.
You have to be on the edge in these cars. There's no way you can drive these cars and be fast by being safe. See a pit lane penalty for car
Troy
17.
Sipple, car 17. Is it sad that number's buried into my brain? I don't think so. After 6 seasons with these guys, you start to learn who to watch out for. No, Sips is... we didn't see quite what caused that incident, but I doubt it was anything more than just a bit of unfortunate timing, and he'll serve that drive through and come back out for the last couple of laps. A little further back than where he was earlier. We'll jump back up front because Ken Latta still leading from the front and looking relatively comfy, but he does have Vanderkraan, who's not letting him get away here at all. Wayne Walker's actually dropped back from the rear bar of Vanderkraan, and now has to worry about Dean Logsdale, who's taking a big look up the inside as they start to get towards the bus stop. On the brakes, over the curbs, and through we go once again. Have a look at these cars bouncing around. It's a completely different story to last night's GT3s. They look so composed, whereas the supercars, you've just got to bounce them over everything.
Yeah, you just got to throw these cars. They'll just eat the curb, whereas a GT3, it's much more delicate, much more... you have to be very careful about what curb you do and don't touch. These things, it doesn't really matter. You just sort of throw it at it and it will just bounce over it. That's what they have to do. I think maybe for Wayne Walker, a little bit too much heat in those tyres. Sitting behind cars like this for this long can cause your front tyres to just get really hot.
There's contact there.
Massive contact between Michael Whiting and I believe that's Damon Fisher.
He's done a good job of setting him back on the right path, though. I'll give him that much.
He has. He straightened him right back up. And no advantage gain there for David Fisher. I was looking like it was going to be a very messy incident there for a minute.
Does, and sure enough, just up the road, Kiedis and Van der Meulen looking to trade blows as well, and they're just off the back of that front pack. You can see up the road a little further. There are battles going on right throughout here. 11 laps is not a lot of time, and these drivers know they've really got to put the foot down here as they start to get towards the last couple of laps. Wayne Walker especially, he's watching that rear view because Logsdale had the pace in qualifying. He takes another big look up the inside turn one. I don't know if Dean's planning on making the move there, but he's sure making it look like he wants to. So we see Kiedis had a big look up the inside of Van der Meulen as well. There's only a couple of spots on this track where you can really get the move done under braking, which is something that, you know, these supercars prefer to do. They'd rather be getting a pass done under heavy braking than trying to make the move anywhere else. And it's just not. It doesn't present a lot of opportunities. Watkins Glen. It's a tricky track to get a pass done on, as evidenced by the fact that our top 5, top 6 really haven't changed positions much at all across this entire 11 laps.
No, we saw Nixon. He just got a really good run off turn 1. He was just able to sort of force his way past, wasn't he? But turn 1 is really only the really heavy braking zone. Anywhere around here, obviously you're braking hard to go into the bus stop, and you're not scrubbing off that much speed. So, this is Whiting going.
That'll be the redress to Damon Fisher. That'll be the redress. It's taken him a little while to get there, but he has redressed that. So, expect to see perhaps a smaller penalty for him for redressing, as race control tends to do. But we'll have to wait and see if we get anything through now. Side by side. As we come out of there you go. Car 025 to redress, so that's just come through as that's happened. Kiedis, Van der Meulen and Jason Bentz now into the mix here as we come around. We're about to start the final lap. Ken Latta out in front, just barely holding on to his position. Kiedis, Van der Meulen and Bentz in a very tight three-way battle for 8th. Not too far off the front pack. As you see, Bentz looks up the inside of that final turn. That's a brave spot to try and put that car through. He's not going to get there. The question is, does he have the pace down the main straight to have a look into the 90? As we get towards turn 1, good defence there from Van der Meulen to just cover the inside and make it really just too difficult for Bentz to get through. But have a look at that. He couldn't fit a credit card between them. You're going to need a very, very big credit card to pay the bill, though, if you do come together here, because these cars are not cheap. At least the sim ones are a little bit quicker to repair than the real world equivalents. Van der Meulen will be under massive pressure right through this lap. Ken Ladder now starting to find himself under a little more pressure as Van der Kran starts to just tighten this up. He'll be thinking about the last couple of opportunities he's got to make a pass here before this race is done. He's not going to do anything silly. He's not going to put his race at risk, but he's certainly starting to ramp the pressure up. And have a look at it, just putting the nose on the inside of Ladder's car for every turn as they come down into the boot section for the last time here in race 1. Wayne Walker's right there in it as well. Dean Logsdale probably a little too far back to have much of a shot at improving his position, so he just needs to keep an eye on Connor Nixon behind, who's settled really, really nicely into that 5th spot. Wayne Walker gets a little bit tail happy there, which allows Ladder and Van der Kran a little more space to run away. Another hard braking section. Van der Kran just not close enough to take advantage. This is going to be probably his last shot. Let's see if he's got something up the sleeve as they come up the hill towards this left hand. We'll call it a hairpin. The US probably calls it a horseshoe. I don't know why. It's just what they do, folks. Nothing there for Van der Kran. So 2 corners to go. Ken Ladder looking on track for the win here in race 1. Unless Van der Kran or Walker can pull out something very, very special into this final turn. Nothing doing. Van der Kran's just going to sit in and be happy with a comfy 2nd place, so he needs to keep an eye on Wayne Walker immediately behind him. But Ken Ladder crosses the line, takes 1st place. Van der Kran, Walker, Logsdale, Nixon and Rushworth all right there. The top 5 back to Nixon, separated by, what's that? Just on a second? Nothing in it at all. 1.3. It's what we love to see here in ASR. It's always a tight race, and that is no exception as we finish up race number 1. Still a few battles going on back through the field. Andrew Johnston comes home just behind his teammate in Brad Hayes. Probably the closest finish on track, though, goes to Damon Fisher, actually, who ended up just 0.16 ahead of Michael Whiting in the end. So nothing in it at all, but Connor Nixon will pick up the front row for the reverse top 5 coming into race 2. So he's set that up with perfection, perfectly. My goodness. Told you it was going to be one of those nights, Isaac.
Certainly is one of those nights, but Connor Nixon, he's executed that perfectly. You can see how much he wanted that 5th position from Andrew Rushworth. He probably did push a little bit to try and maybe get past Dean Logsdale, but I think he was just happy sitting in behind. He knew that was going to give him the pole position for this 2nd race, and he's definitely got the pace to be with these front guys, maybe even lead this race. So we've seen how hard it is to pass around here, despite being as close as it is. And I think if I'm Connor Nixon, I feel like if I can get a good start and if I can get off the line well here, I'm actually in the box seat to maybe look pretty strong, look like a strong contender in this 2nd race.
Yeah, spot on. David Coleman not having a great first run at all. That front bar looking a little less than happy as he makes his way back into the pits. We'll have the race results in just a moment, but that is race 1 done and dusted. We've got, 24 laps? 25 laps ahead of us for race number 2. And tell you what, if that's any indication, I think we're going to see a bit of a repeat, I'm sure, for race 2, with probably a little bit of pit strategy being about the only thing that really separates them as they go through there. We'll take a look at the results now for race 1, and Ken Ladder brings home the full points just ahead of Matt Van der Kran, then Wayne Walker and Dean Logsdale. Connor Nixon finishes 1.37 off the lead. Nothing in it at all, and in fact 10 seconds across the top 12. It's nothing surprising for this league, of course, but it is always a pleasure to see when we do take a look at the results. We run back through the rest of the field. Rushworth and Allman ahead of Kiedis and Van der Meulen, and then Jason Bentz takes P10 ahead of Jim Caparonis and Chad Viger. Damon Fisher and Michael Whiting end up with a very, very close finish indeed. Not quite as close as Phil Manuel and Mick Clifton, I think, but my maths isn't great on the fly, I'll be honest. James Hardy and Mitch Wood ahead of Joel Esteval and Alistair Bales rounds out the top 20. As we take a look a little further back in the field, Simon Farrington 21st ahead of Todd Martin, then Brad Hayes and Andrew Johnston for Team AJR. Danny McCrone recovers to P25 ahead of Darren Walden and Stephen Varga, then Craig Rose and Ashley Hall. The Quantum Racing trio coming home just inside the 30 ahead of Rick Vigar, and Troy Sipple finishes up in 31st after his little drive through at the end. David Coleman back in 32nd, but watch for him to charge through the field. David Logsdale, Matthew Fu rounding it out, and Jamie McKnight back in 35th. I don't think actually did start the race this evening, given he ended up 11 laps down, but we'll have to check in on that one just a little later on. Jamie Dyke asking, why is it that Kenny wins when you're not there? Well, maybe because he doesn't have to listen to you in his ear, Jamie. But that could be something to do with it, mate. I'm not saying you're not helpful. Just maybe I don't know, maybe you just need to change the tone a bit. Maybe he just needs a bit more love. Certainly got the pace, and Ladder brings home a very, very nice win to start his night off. We're going to take a quick break while the warm-up session between races is happening. We'll be right back after this quick message.
Providing the best for your family means a healthy, secure, and comfortable environment. But the daily risks your family faces are often invisible. Solar Guard performance films protect what matters most to you. While you're concentrating on the task at hand, we're protecting your family from uncomfortable solar heat, harmful UV light, and glare. Our window films and protective coatings are designed with decades of technical expertise and provide a vision towards the future. Solar Guard provides added protection to the places where they're needed most, creating invisible barriers for increased security. The people of Solar Guard design carbon-negative solutions that can help reduce energy costs and improve comfort. Allow us to tackle the invisible challenges so you can focus on the important things in life. What matters most to you? We're on it. Saint-Gobain, Solar Guard.
Well, welcome back, folks. Hope you're taking the opportunity to go and refill your drink of choice and, relieve yourself if you need to. We are just about ready to get onto the grid. Another minute or so of this warm-up session before we're back for race 2. A reverse top 5 will set us off for 25 laps here. And Jamie Dyke, don't think I didn't see you have 3 or 4 attempts at sending that message through, mate, before you finally got it out. I can only assume that when you say duty calls, that duty is something related to, I don't know, your favourite scotch or bourbon? Who knows? Who knows? No, good to have you in the chat with us, mate, and hope you're doing well. And, of course, hello to everyone else who has joined us this evening around the place. Plenty of support out there, as always, for ASR, Isaac. And your first look at it, mate, how was race 1? Are you looking forward to race 2? And what do you think you're going to get to see here for this second crack at it?
I'm very excited for race 2. Race 1, there was action aplenty. I don't think we took a breath for the entire 11 laps. So if that's anything to go by, the next 25 laps are going to be we're going to be even more out of breath by the time we get to the end of it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Connor Nixon goes off the front row. He obviously won both races at Phillip Island, so we know he's strong operator in these cars. Wayne Walker as well looks to be in a strong position. Dean Logsdale gets a second shot at the front row here. Obviously started on pole in the first race, didn't quite get off the line the way you would have wanted, fell down the order. Hopefully he's figured it out for this second one and he can get off to a clean start. It'd be great to see him up the front as well. But it seems to be, to me, Jared, that as soon as you get in front, or as soon as you're in a position in this track, it's really hard to go forward or even go backwards unless you make a mistake.
Look, that's always the way when it comes to supercars. They're a notoriously tough car to make a pass with, and Watkins Glen really doesn't provide a lot of easy opportunities. So the drivers will absolutely have the work cut out for them once again. As we take a look at the grid for race number 2, Connor Nixon starts at the front with Dean Logsdale, then Wayne Walker and Matt Vanderkraan, Ken Latta, the last of the 5 to get their reverse grid. Then Andrew Rushworth starts right where he finished, ahead of Luke Orman and Alex Kiedis, with Sean Vandermeulen and Jason Bentz rounding out your top 10. Jim Caperonis and Chad Vigar on row 6, then Damon Fisher and Michael Whiting ahead of Phil Manuel and Mick Clifton, with James Hardy and Mitch Wood sneaking in on row 9 ahead of Joel Ostervale and Alistair Bales, your top 20. Simon Farrington and Todd Martin ahead of Brad Hayes and Andrew Johnston, then Daniel McCrowan and Darren Walden on row 13 ahead of Stephen Varga and Craig Rose, with Ashley Hall and Rick Vigar finishing up the top 30. Troy Sipple and David Coleman starting all the way back in 31st and 32nd, so some work to do there. David Logsdale will start back there as well. Matthew Fu, hopefully, will have a bit of a better run this time around. Jamie McKnight, again, I'm not sure that we're going to see him on track, but we'll keep an eye on it and see if he does make his way to the grid. Just another minute or two before we do get underway here, Isaac. Mate, I don't quite know what to tell you to expect here. The pit stop strategies that we see vary so drastically, and we know that fuel's going to be pretty tight across the two stints, right? We know that really these drivers they should be thinking about how they spread the refuel and particularly the change of tyres across this session. I'm kind of expecting that we'll see people just split this into a nice even set of thirds. Now I can't quite do the math on 25 laps, but 24 laps you can split it into a nice 3, 8 lap stints. That said, though, with the undercut being so strong, my prediction, I reckon we'll see a couple of people try a lap 1 or 2 pit to get that out of the way, give themselves some clean air, and then try for a massive undercut and pick up a few places.
Well, it's interesting you say that. We worked out you can get about 12 laps, I think we said earlier, on a tank of fuel. So I'd be really interested to see who does just blink really early, put a little bit of fuel in to give them that, that little bit of a splash to get them past that's probably the lap 13, lap 14 mark. I reckon you come in at lap 14, you're definitely going to get home with no stress at all. So I reckon we see a couple of cars come in early, make sure they can get to that point, and then then fuel up, obviously, and change tyres in that second stop and make sure they can get home and have really, really good tyres towards the end. I also think you're right, we'll probably see a few people try and split this into probably 9 and then 8 and 8. But where do you take tyres? That's going to be the question. Do you take it in both stops or do you take it in one stop? I think we'll see most drivers only take one set of tyres tonight.
Oh, look, it's always tough to tell because these tyres are only really good for 3 laps before they start to fall off. So if you time it right, maybe it's worth 2 sets of tyres. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens this evening. Do any of the drivers stream? There are a couple of these guys that do, Nate. I don't have links for you, but I'll make sure I track them down for next round. We are ready to get underway. Race number 2, Connor Nixon off the start. The lights are up, and we go green here at Watkins Glen, and Connor Nixon gets the start he was hoping for, as does Wayne Walker. As we make our way down towards turn 1, we've got someone right in the grass there to get us underway. And down into turn 1, immediately we're going side by side. A lot of these drivers pushing for position early. They know they've got to get into this racing line very, very quickly if they want to stick with it. But right now, Connor Nixon and Wayne Walker maintain their spots up front. Dean Logsdale gives his up to Wayne Walker. And if these guys aren't careful, Nixon and Walker will be walking away with this lead. We've seen it happen a few times before. And look, plenty of pace up the front end of this field as we come through bus stop. First time, there's contact. Alex Kiedis and Luke Orman off in the bus stop. Hopefully avoiding the wall, but I don't like the chances. And we've got more. That's Daniel McCrory. Oh, a big hit on Simon Farrington there. Thankfully, getting T-boned shouldn't do too much damage. But what a start to this race. I think we've just avoided a safety car by the skin of our teeth because everyone's managed to get rolling again. But geez, the bus stop, I was surprised we got through there in race number 1 without too much in the way of an issue, and race 2 proving that we were just lucky more than anything else. Yeah. Simon Farrington, Andrew Johnston getting all sorts of caught up in amongst all of that, and that'll drop them a fair way down the order. The good news is, though, it's only lap 1, so plenty of time to try and recover that. It's a rough start, but I think we'll get away with it for the moment.
For now we will we'll get away with it very. I think we were spoilt in the first race with the minimal contact we had on lap 1, but then we got to the bus stop this time and all bets were off. The gloves were off indeed. I would have thought I'd expect that from the sprint. Watching this camera angle, how close these cars can get to the wall. We saw in the last race, they were pretty much in the wall at one point going through there, and that's just what you have to do to try and extract the pace out of these cars. But look at these front guys. Dean Logsdale's gone backwards again. Only one spot this time, mind you, but he has gone from the front row back to third, and then we've got cars up the inside. I believe that's Coleman up the inside of Martin, trying to get a couple of places here. And this is some very tricky spot to go side by side. It certainly is. Oh, this is getting close between these four. Look at this. We've got another car trying to invite himself into the battle as well. I think that's Hardy.
It certainly is. The two Quantum Racing entries just putting the pressure on, and that's going to be tough. David Coleman in a much safer position right now than either of those Quantum cars. David Coleman, incidentally, I told you he'd be on the push, up 13 positions in a lap and a half. So he's up into 19th already, and making some very, very quick moves through the field. On that note, Jamie Dyke, if you're still floating around in the chat, mate, I know you probably have a couple of links to some of the streams that these guys have got on. If you do want to drop them into the ASR chat, that would be brilliant for Nate, I'm sure, mate. If you could take a look at that for us, I'd appreciate it. Connor Nixon out in front with Wayne Walker. Both look still well and truly in touch with the field, but starting to think about just extending that. What is interesting to see here, usually you'd see them absolutely charging away. We'll go back to this battle behind Coleman because there's a bunch of cars getting caught up in all of this. The thing that we're not seeing so far tonight is a huge gap opening up immediately. Now, Watkins Glen as a track doesn't lend itself to it quite so much, but I think these guys might be looking at that fuel number and thinking that there's, perhaps just a little bit more to watch there than what they originally thought. So we see Andrew Rushworth coming down the main straight with Jason Bentz in hot pursuit. Bentz is up 3 spots already, but Wayne Walker and Dean Logsdale out in front, the only ones in the top 6 who have actually swapped spots since the start.
Yeah, well, I think it becomes a little bit of mind games now, especially with the fuel. Who's saving what? And you have to, big contact in the first corner, and trying to work out who exactly that is. That's
Brad Hayes,
rolling away. Brad
think.
Hayes. That is super disappointing for the I think he's Quantum Racing. I'm still learning who Team AJR. Sorry, I'm so very sorry, but I'm still learning who all the teams are, who's driving for who. But yeah, that looked like a big moment there for Brad Hayes. He's done well to avoid contact with pretty much everyone, I think, through there, because it's such a fast section of racetrack. It's a 90-degree corner, but you're still carrying a lot of speed through there. And look how wide some of these cars are getting on the bus stop. That's Darren Walden going through the bus stop. So I should counter. They don't give it a corner number, I've learnt in recent times, Jared. It doesn't count as any number. So they go turn 4 up the top of the hill, then the bus stop, and then turn 5 is the outer loop. So the inner loop's not actually counted as any numbers, which is more strange American antics when it comes to racetracks.
I try not to think too much about the corner numbers at any of the American tracks, honestly. It just does your head in every time. Instead, we just concentrate on the racing, and there's plenty of it going on as Luke Orman gets the pass done through the boot on Darren Walden. Now Alex Kiedis has a think about going up the inside. Doesn't quite get there. Jamie McKnight is in the field at the moment, incidentally, up to 22nd, up 14 spots after starting at the back of the field. So he's well in amongst it. Troy Sipple right there with him, as is Daniel McCrowan, as they come around getting ready to complete lap number 3. Out in front, Wayne Walker has had a bit of a moment there by the look of things and has really dropped off the back of Connor Nixon. Maybe a slowdown, though I didn't see it anywhere. Pit lane penalty for car 107. So that is, and forgive me while I scroll through, that's Alex Kiedis picking up the drive-through penalty for his contact with Brad Hayes, which is not incredibly surprising. What sort of times are they getting in here? SimRacer HQ, look, minute 50s at the moment, and I think that really speaks volumes about the pace that these guys are running at. They're absolutely in a fuel save at the moment, because we were seeing very comfortable 40s in the first race, which is well quicker than what we're seeing here so far. So these guys are absolutely playing a fuel game right now. That will only last, I reckon, until about the first pit stops, and from there it's probably going to be game on.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be game on between these guys. Oh, up the inside. That was almost 3 wide into a corner. I think they managed to sort it out, though. That was in the background of this battle that we're watching. There was a few cars. Here we go. We'll jump back to them now. It looks like this is Caperonis, Whiting, and Vigar all just going at it at the moment. And it was very hard to mount stuff there. Look at this up the inside. A little bit of contact
nudge from Michael Whiting. Yep.
Bit of a nudge to get him out of the way, but yeah, it was very hard in mount stuff there, watching those guys try and go in side by side. We have another drive-through penalty. That's for Daniel McCrowan, and some contact that he had with Simon Farrington on lap 1 as well. So a couple pit lane penalties being handed out by the stewards early on here.
Yeah, look, it keeps them busy. Race control always have a few things to look at, particularly after a start like this one. Further up though, Ken Latta, have a look in the background. We've got Jason Bentz on the inside, and Andrew Rushworth going very, very far off the track there. It is one of the joys, I suppose, of Watkins Glen. If you get it wrong, at least the walls are not too close as you do come through turn 1 there. But yeah, Ken Latta just gets a bit of a free pass and gets to breathe a sigh of relief. Doesn't have to check his mirrors for a little while. He can instead focus forward. And Connor Nixon and Wayne Walker, these guys absolutely running the fuel game. I've never seen, and look, it's a new season, so things could have changed, but I've never seen Wayne Walker sitting so comfortably and without looking like actually making a move for so long, unless he's fuel saving. That is 100% what's going on here.
Yeah, he's just super content behind the rear wing. Connor Nixon at the moment is he's not too stressed about the car in front. I don't think he's too stressed about the car behind at the moment. They're sort of all working together, using the slipstream of the car ahead. And the car spare a thought for Connor Nixon. He's the car at the front of this queue, which means he's not getting anyone else's slipstream. So he's having to do the most fuel saving to try and match these guys' fuel, but he just won't be able to, because there's so much that they'll get away with being in the slipstream, being able to be towed down that really long straight. They cannot have to hold the throttle even just a little bit less throttle when going in a straight line is the difference between quite a few seconds of fuel in these stops. And that might actually pay off for Wayne Walker, and I think he's just thinking undercut maybe at the moment, or at least having less stop time so he can try and jump Connor Nixon in the pit lane.
Yeah, that's absolutely what he'll be thinking, just making the most of the tow. Phil Manuel, the first one to come in. There you go. So 6 laps in, he's a little early, but that might just set him up for some full pace runs here for the rest of the race. Danny McCrowan's in, well, I suspect that'll be to serve his drive-through penalty. As we see Troy Sippel just blinking in and out a little bit. The iRacing servers have been a little interesting over the last week or so hopefully they do hold up here tonight. Plenty of action going on right throughout the field. I do want to go back and take a look at that contact with Alex Kiedis and Brad Hayes just at the start of lap number 3 and see what we can see here. Just Kiedis pushes Hayes very, very wide on the exit there and just doesn't leave the room. Hayes tries to stay inside the track limits, and sure enough, that is going to land you with a bit of a chat from race control and an extra drive through the pit lane.
Yeah, they definitely weren't too happy about that one, and he's got the whack on the wrist as a consequence. I also noticed that Mick Clifton has also come into the pits. He came into the pits the lap previous to Phil Manuel and Danny McCrowan. So he was actually the first one out of everybody to blink and come into the lane. So he took the first stop and went for the undercut. I don't know if it's worked so far, but he's sitting down in 29th in between McCrowan and Manuel. And so we'll see what that does pay dividends for him later on. But this is a move up the inside as the iRacing servers continue to be a little bit below. We've got car 107, a pit lane in penalty for the incident with car 10. So that's I think probably to be expected, was that verdict from race control.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the least surprising ones that we've seen tonight, really, and won't be last, I'm sure, by a long shot. As we take a look through the field, everyone's starting to settle in at the moment. We've got this front group that, again, just aren't really getting themselves too separated out. Although Connor Nixon started to pick up the pace just a little further. Get a undercover question from you. Are there 2 D Longdales? There are indeed. You've got Dean Logsdale up the front in P3 right now. And further back, David Logsdale in 28th. So he's not on the track twice. It is actually two different people, which, you know, is a lot easier to explain than driving two cars at once. I would love to see someone manage the sort of pace that Dean Logsdale has out in front from two separate separate rigs.
That would be quite a talent, wouldn't it, if you could, maybe wheel with one on the wheel, one on the controller, but that would still probably require a lot of manoeuvring, a lot of talent. So I'd be very impressed if he was racing on two accounts. So, but it's good to see we've got a couple that seems to be relatives in here tonight. So David Logsdale and then Chad Vigar and Rick Vigar as well in the 16 and 14. So we have a few of the similar names, but Dean and David, it's just unfortunate they're both D Logsdale. So you've got to try and guess which one's which sometimes, really, if you're watching along at home.
You know, let me do everyone at home a favour, and let's do a bit of a change up. There you go. That'll make life easier for everyone, I'm sure. Keep an eye out, of course, for I don't think Dylan Sipple actually has made it tonight, but he'd ordinarily be out there racing with Dad Troy, as well as we see some of these pit stops starting to come through. Dean Logsdale into the pits. Connor Nixon now gets a bit of clear air, so keep your eye from here on Wayne Walker and see what happens. We'll just have to watch for this undercut on Nixon now and see if he does manage to come out ahead, or if Connor Nixon's going to take the advantage here and start to really put the foot down to overcome the undercut potential. And really, at this stage, you've got to start thinking about that, don't you? Like, it's such an obvious thing with these Gen 3 supercars that the undercut is really, really strong. And although, you know, these guys have been taking it relatively easy so far, this is the time for Connor Nixon to really put the foot down. His last lap was a 150.91. I'm going to be very, very interested to see what he actually punches out this time around. I expect it to be just a touch different.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit different this time around. I just noticed Wayne Walker left the pit lane a 46-second pit lane transit time. So he sits in 14th now, and he's got Matt Vanderkrant right behind him. And Connor Nixon is going to have to be a really solid enough. I don't think he's going to want to stay out there for too much longer, I'll be honest, because the undercut will be very powerful around here, as we spoke about, especially if someone like Wayne Walker has taken tyres. We'll have a look at the inside. This is Jason Bentz going past Ashley Hall, and Daniel Crowan also trying to go past Ashley Hall. And they've made that look pretty easy. Ashley just sort of got out of the way there of those drivers to try and let them pass. We've got a bit of a battle going on in the background as well. A little bit side to side. Damon Fisher.
Pushes Craig Rose.
Chad Vickers now going to cut the inside. Rich Wood as well is going to invite himself past. And that was a little bit of a gloves off moment, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Connor Nixon is in. That's surprising. I would have thought he would have gone another couple of laps and start to put the pace on. Have a look at the rest of the field. Follow him in now. I think you'll actually see most of the drivers follow Connor Nixon's lead here, just to stay with him at this point. Stephen Varga doesn't. David Coleman goes through. So this will all start to wash out as we get towards the second pit stop. But very interested to see now where Wayne Walker ends up. He's coming around. Connor Nixon in his pit box now, should be coming out of the box in just a moment. It'll just be a question of how far up the lane Nixon actually is. But it looks like Connor Nixon, here we go, he's underway, but there goes not only Wayne Walker, but Matt Vanderkrant coming through as well. So Nixon comes out just behind Wayne Walker.
Wow.
Inserts himself back in. Matt Vanderkrant now in effective third.
I think that is the best call for Connor Nixon, staying out for too long as we look up the a little bit of contact. That's going to
Vanderbilt sends Ashley Hall into the wall. Yep.
That is a heavy contact for Ashley Hall, and he's not having a good run of it at the moment. A little bit of contact here, a little bit of contact there for Ashley Hall, and the gloves are off. But here we go. Speaking of the gloves being off, this is Dean Logsdale. It's Ken Ladder going at it for 9th place. It's provisional 4th on the road at the moment once the stops work their way out. And Ken Ladder, he started 5th place in this race, will be provisional 5th once the stops sort of correct themselves. But I was just going to say, I think for Connor Nixon, he really didn't want to stay out too long. Yes, it'll give him a tyre advantage later in the race, but the longer you stay out, just the more you're going to hurt yourself with coming up behind more cars and just giving yourself more work to do and more cars to pass. We've seen how tricky it is to try and pass around here.
Yeah, it really, really is. And Ken Latta is going to be feeling the full effect of that. He's out on brand new rubber right now. Dean Logsdale just ahead is really just starting to hit the midpoint of his stride with his tyres. So he came in a lap earlier, but that means Latta is really going through the very best of his tyres right now. Logsdale's probably just a little of the way in. You're really only getting 3 or 4 laps out of these things before they start to drop off pace. So it'll be interesting to see what Latta does here, whether he's got the pace to actually make a move past Logsdale, or whether Logsdale on the fresh tyres is looking pretty tidy. There you go, Wayne Walker, a 49.8. So he started to lift the pace there, and that's those fresh tyres immediately coming into play. Jason Bentz crosses with an even faster time, a 49.85. Pretty well dead on with Wayne Walker's pace, actually. There may be a few thousandths in it. But yeah, it's a very, very quick time once you get some fresh rubber on.
Yeah, it's definitely a very quick time. We'll start to see the times fly now if we have got these guys on fresh rubber. I'd imagine they would be with a 46-second stop time.
Yeah, 14 seconds in the pit box. That's about what I'd expect for sure.
Yeah, definitely what I would expect as well for a 14-second stationary time. And this is Ken Latta. He's still trying to find a way past Dean Logsdale, but I don't think Dean's going to make this easy, and it's definitely not the track that you want to be trying to get past. Brad Hayes is on a charge back for the 30th. At the moment, he's trying to find some spots. We've still got quite a few cars, though. Troy Sippel is one of them. He's putting pressure on Todd Martin. He's got Rick Figure right behind. So this battle for 24th place. So definitely, as I think the term coined is sheep stations for these guys. But it won't matter because, one spot further. Look at the inside.
Rushworth goes through on Rose.
Rushworth goes through, and he made that fairly easy, did Craig Rose. He didn't look to make that too challenging for him.
Thing to remember, Rushworth's on fresh tyres. Rose hasn't come in yet. So he's playing a slightly longer game here, and that could pay off. He's down 9 spots, Craig Rose, at the moment. He's going to have to come in on this lap. He's got to be close to out of fuel. David Coleman's now into the pits, as is James Hardy. And we'll see probably the last of these guys. Ashley Hall hasn't been into the pits either. He's just up ahead, and we'll probably see him head in on this lap. So you see him sticking to the inside here. It's dangerous, as we said on the at the start of this. It's a very, very dangerous pit entry. You've got to make sure your intentions are very clear early on. And the key thing to remember is Stephen Vargas, probably the only driver now. In fact, yes, the only driver left on track who hasn't made a pit stop. So Vargas is out on his own. He's going to be coming to the end of his fuel tank now. He must be. The really challenging part about making your intentions known here is that the league rules don't actually allow you to announce it on radio. Radio comms are for race control calls only if you do want to report incidents. So you've got to either have the text chat bound to your sim somewhere, or, as we saw there from the Quantum Racing entry, just stay right over to the side, make it very, very clear that's where you're heading.
Yeah, you got to make it super clear. We see these guys in real life driving these things use the indicator. I'm not sure if that's something that is usable in this game, whether the indicator is the thing, but I would think if it was, and the indicator would probably also be a really good way of signaling your intention that you're trying to go into the pit lane. But this is a battle as well. It's still, there's battles everywhere you look at them, and I don't really think you can, if you try and look at one spot in the field and there's a battle going on, and then all of a sudden there's another battle going on. This is 4 cars battling for the last spot in the top 10. Chad Vigo holds onto it at the moment, but he's got Damon Fisher, Mitch Wood, and Jim Capronis right behind him, trying to find a way through. They all want this last spot in the 10.
Still a long way to go, though. This is only the start of lap 12 now up the front end, as Wayne Walker comes across the line, and it's Connor Nixon. Tell you what, the fresh rubber hasn't helped Wayne Walker a whole lot, because Nixon is right there on his tail now. Again, you've got to wonder, is this a strategy play? Because they have to do 2 stops here tonight. It's compulsory to do 2 stops. So Wayne Walker, what I'm expecting from him here is he's going to do everything he can to defend and make it difficult for Nixon to get past. This is going to be really dangerous on the way into the bus stop. They're going side by side. Walker just a little bit braver and squeezes on through from the defensive position. The more he can slow Nixon down here, though, and limit his fuel use out in front, the better it'll look out. Now, a pit lane transit breach for a few cars there. The 269, the 025, and the 027. So for those who are new to this one, so that's Jamie McKnight, incidentally. 027 is Jamie McKnight. 269 is Ken Latta. And 025, I think, was the third one we were looking at, wasn't it? Michael Whiting. The stewards are very aware of the league regulations, which state that you must transit the pit lane in the fast lane of the pit, and only go across into the changeover effectively when you get to your pit box. You've got a couple of pit stalls either side in which you need to make that move over. A couple of reasons they do that here. One is to just add that extra element of realism, because it's only the fast lane on the way through the pits where you can actually make contact with other cars. Anything in the inside through the pit bays themselves, collisions are turned off. But in the fast lane that's closest to the main straight there on the left, if you come into contact with another car, you're going to feel it. So that is done intentionally as part of this league. And of course, the flow-on effect is that there are penalties if you don't follow that regulation. And that's what you see. Why so many Fords here, Sim Racer? Well, look, I asked myself that question a fair bit. Honestly, the Mustangs are just more popular amongst this group of drivers. I can tell you for a fact, and this is not me spinning a story here. So the intro movie that you would have seen at the start of the stream, that features a bunch of the different cars. That was about my third attempt at pulling together an intro movie for the league. And the reason that it needed a couple of reworks was that league admin and co-founder Troy Sipple had some very, very clear instructions for me when I put a Camaro as the Quantum Racing entry that was featured in it. He would not have that. It was a Ford or nothing, mate. So there's a definite love of the Mustangs amongst this group, but there's certainly a few quick Chevy drivers out there as well.
Just had a change for the lead. So Connor Nixon now leads this race over Wayne Walker with a very lovely move through the chute and then down into the, I believe that was into turn 6, into the start of the boot. So he now leads this race. He's gotten past Wayne Walker, which is what he needed to do. And hopefully that will start to now mean that he can have a bit of an advantage over Wayne Walker. But that was a very lovely move from Connor Nixon to get in the lead in this race.
Yeah, that's what I get for looking away for a second and actually telling a story, hey? I'll try not to tell so many of them, but it's worth noting there's a lot of Ford fans here. Realistically, the two chassis, the two cars should be near enough to identical. I mean, that's the whole point of the Gen 3 supercars, is that it really doesn't matter which you're in. The setup should be the same. We're running fixed setups here as well. That's part of this league, so it is about the driver behind the wheel, and really it just comes down to what car you like the look of more. Personally, it's the Chevy for me.
Personally, I don't know. I like the Ford Mustang GT3, so I think I have to pick the Ford Mustang here. It's also the only supercar I own. Oh, nice move up the inside from Coleman.
Look at Coleman on Bales. Bill Manuel loses 2 spots at once. David Coleman up 17 spots, continues to charge. Alistair Bales was probably feeling really good about that move for about half a second until Coleman went on through.
Here comes David Coleman, just to put a little bit of a cap on that race. Yeah, 17 spots, 15 spots for Stephen Varga as well in this race. So these guys have been absolutely flying through the field, just making inroads. And we talked about how it's not the best circuit for overtaking. They've definitely proven us wrong with the fact that they've moved up so many spots in this race. And Ken Latta, though, he'll be feeling it at the moment. This is Knight, Walden, and Crowan. Crowan has a look up the inside on Walden. Oh, there's contact, and that's sideways for Walden. And that means that McCrowan, just rightly so, rolls out of the throttle to redress that position, gain no advantage from that, because that was very messy into the outer loop there, and it's very hard. You sort of see from that camera angle there's always going to be a little bit of contact coming.
Yeah, absolutely, and these guys are racing very, very hard for any advantage they can find. What I love to see, though, is of course, the way that these guys redress whenever you do see those issues happen, it's something you kind of expect, but you don't often get in a lot of leagues, and you just get drivers who will often just leave it up to the stewards, and they'll take their chances. But here, no, plenty of redressing goes on, and always good to see. We've got about 10 laps left to go here in race number 2, the SolarGuard Supercar Championship from Alliance Sim Racing. Season 6 well underway, and we are seeing plenty of racing action going on right throughout the field. Out in front, Connor Nixon and Wayne Walker maintain control, but Matt Vanderkraan, Dean Logsdale, Ken Latta all still right in amongst it. And yeah, look, we were saying, you know, it's tough to get passes done, but it really changes the game when you start to bring pit stops in here because of just how strong these cars are when you start to talk about fresh tyres. It's it's a big difference, and that's where the passes come about. Speaking of Troy Sipple and his love for the Mustang, out in front right now, Rick Vigar gets touched from Todd Martin. He's off the track. Can he pull it up before the wall? Going to bounce off it. Just a little panel damage, I think. He gets lucky not to put the nose into the wall there, and so he's going to have to get back underway. As we go to Chad, I believe, Rick's son, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a while since I've had to explain the relationship there, but Mitch Wood all over the rear end of this Angry Birds car. Jim Caperonis just lurking in the background looking for an opportunity as well.
Very well could have one in a minute if this battle goes away that a few of the others have this evening and there's a bit of contact, but it's yeah, Chad Vigar is doing a really good job at the moment. He's up 3 spots so far in this race. Mitch Wood up 8, looking to make that 9. Ken Latta into the pit lanes.
That'll be stop number 2. So he's going to go for the undercut. Here comes Chad Vigar as well.
Also into the lane. So the first few cars are blinking for this second stop. Have a look at this replay here. This is Rick Vigar into the bus stop chicane. Just too much speed, a little bit of contact there.
Just closed the door far too early on Martin and really turned himself across the front, I reckon. But leave that one with the stewards to take a look at if they're interested.
Definitely not a headache I would be looking forward to have is stewarding all these incidents tonight. The stewards do a wonderful job of making sure that everything is looked at properly and things are dealt with as they should be, and they do an amazing job of making sure this series is so well run. And here we go. This is Walden, Darren Walden, Brad Hayes. He's trying to move back up the order. Brad Hayes. It's been a difficult race for him despite earlier contact, and he's now locked in a battle here with Chevy versus Ford. It's currently the Chevy leading the way. They've got a fair gap to the car in front and a little bit of a gap to the car behind, so they're on their own at the moment. But Damon Fisher, if this battle continues, might fancy himself getting involved as they run down to the bus stop.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's looking tight, but here comes Brad Hayes looking up the inside. He's going to go for the late break. Keeps the send button pushed and really comes straight across, gave absolute commitment there and just trusted that Walden wasn't going to have the pace. Walden, for his efforts, actually picked up a slowdown there. You'll see that little yellow flag next to his name. That's an iRacing imposed slowdown, so he's obviously cut just enough of that corner. Probably just trying to give the room to Brad Hayes, honestly. But that's going to cause issues now. Here comes a whole chunk of the field. Wayne Walker's come in, so Vanderkraan, Logsdale, Bent's starting to follow on in there. Connor Nixon stays out. Surely he's got to put the foot down here. So we see another incident penalty coming through for car 05. That is Daniel McCrowan for that contact that we saw earlier with Darren Walden. Unsurprising as well.
It's very unsurprising. Quite a few penalties being handed out this evening for contact. And the question for me now, though, Dean Logsdale, Wayne Walker, how long is this stop going to be? Daniel McCrowan's just jumped back to the pit lane, so he's actually returned to the pits with some damage there. Jason Bentz has dropped 11 seconds for him. Wayne Walker 16 seconds in the pit lane. So that was definitely another set of tyres there. Wayne Walker, and he's now back out ahead. Jason Bentz, though, he's right behind Ken Latta. He's come out, he's got Todd Martin in front of him, maybe no. Looking at the little timing screen as they move around. This is the battle for 8th place on the road as it stands. Slow car trying to get out of the way. This is Ken Latta trying to get past Vanderkraan. Looks up the inside. They're going to go 3 wide on the run towards the bus stop. That never goes in as you run into here, but they've sorted it out. They've made it work, and that lap car sort of had a bit of a spatter into the works of Ken Latta trying to get past. He had the run on Matt van der Kram, but just that lap car sort of caught him out. He's going to have a look down here into the boot.
Van der Kram looking up the inside again of Latta, so they're going to be side by side here. Latta will have the inside of the next turn. Can Van der Kram get a better line though as Latta goes across, shuts the door decisively, and then starts to make his way back up this small hill through the sole of the boot, really. And Van der Kram just not going to find it here, but he'll stick with it and see what he might pick up towards the end of this lap. Now Michael Whiting's coming in for his second stop, so they're starting to just peel in. Connor Nixon still running pretty hard out in front, enjoying the clean air ahead of him. The times though just not quite there at the moment, of 50.6, so he's still a little bit off the pace that he'd probably like or need at this point. But he's going to have to keep charging along. We're seeing a lot of 51s sort of coming out of the pits. 52s a bit further back. So the one to watch really will be Wayne Walker as he comes around. So he's just out onto what will effectively be his first hot lap. So it'll be interesting to see what his pace looks like as he comes back around. But Connor Nixon for the moment all alone, nobody around him, and that can often be really, really difficult when it comes to just keeping your head on.
Yeah, and there's no one really to reference around you, no one behind you trying to chase you down, no one in front of you for you to try and keep up with. So you just hopefully have a number in his head. He'll know what he needs to drive to. All the top guys in this series, they just sort of drive to a number, especially when they're on their own. And Ken Latta, he's now got the pressure of Matt van der Kram behind. The benefit for Connor Nixon, though, staying out this long, he will have the tyre advantage at the end of this race. We spoke about earlier, you don't want to stay out too much longer than the cars that are undercutting you, because it will put you further back in that pack, especially with how close those top five are together. However, I think for Connor Nixon here, the tyre advantage will pay dividends towards the end of this race. We've seen he can pull the move off. We saw it around the outside of Wayne Walker through the outer loop. I definitely think we'll see Connor Nixon as he comes into the pit lane now. I think we'll see him making some pretty exciting moves towards the end of this race. So don't go anywhere. Get the popcorn ready. It's going to be some exciting closing laps here at Watkins Glen. Absolutely. And look, I mean, this is what we've been hoping for. Is a pretty tight battle right throughout, and indeed it's delivered here tonight. Whether it's the combination of this particular track with the 60% fuel limit, but it's not been quite the runaway affair that we often expect from the front runners here. Wayne Walker, Connor Nixon have certainly put that on a few times. David Coleman now takes the race lead as Connor Nixon and Sean Vandermeulen sit in the pits, but Wayne Walker threw a 49.82, so actually not a huge amount quicker than the times that we were seeing from Connor Nixon, who comes out just ahead of Wayne Walker. Ooh. So nothing in it, a half second, but Nixon's got to work to get those tyres up to temp. This is going to be the opportunity for Wayne Walker as he starts to reel him in down the back straight towards the bus stop. 4/10, that gap is coming down. Nixon's going to be on cold tyres. He's going to have to brake really, really early here. It's not going to be enough for Walker to get through, but look at the differential coming down into 2/10 now, hovering around 3. Walker really wants to take the most advantage he can here, because as soon as Nixon gets some temp in those tyres, he's going to start pulling away again. This is the time for Wayne Walker to make an impression on the back of Connor Nixon. Probably not a physical impression. I don't want to see these two make contact.
Wayne Walker,
big power slide on the exit of 6 for Wayne Walker. He's done well to catch that, but that's going to put on quite a lot of heat in those rear tyres, make that car a little bit more on ice now, and that will probably effectively take away that advantage that he did have over Connor Nixon. By now, the tyres will start to come up for Connor Nixon. It's actually going to leave him vulnerable to Dean Logsdale behind. That's now pretty much, he's closed right up and within 4/10 behind him. So Jason Bentz as well, right in behind this battle of Van der Kram and Ken Latta. This is the back end of the podium. So Jason Bentz, he could get himself onto the podium here maybe if he can make some moves late in this race.
Yeah, not out of the question at this stage, of course. Another pit stop to come for David Coleman. So although we're looking at what is officially the battle for second and third with Nixon and Walker, of course Logsdale there as well. Logsdale sitting in effective third place at the moment once Coleman comes in for his stop. And the gap that Coleman has nowhere near enough for him to hold on to a podium position after his pit stop. Ken Latta comes in again. He's got a drive-through by the look of things. Now, I don't know, there it is. Drive-through penalty for 269 for a second pit lane breach. So Latta on his second stop has breached that, and he's going a drive-through. That's his night done. Really unfortunate for Ken Latta, but it's been discussed and taken through with the drivers time and time again. No one to blame for it but himself for that one, unfortunately. And you know, in the heat of the moment, you can overlook this stuff, and it's enough to see him for a drive-through for the second time around. You know, 5-second penalty the first time is not insurmountable. A drive-through at this late stage of the race, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and he'll be kicking himself there because he knows, as you said, they all know the procedure here. It's been drilled into them by race control, what they have to do in the pit lane, and just, yeah, time and time again. Oh, Darren Walden I thought he was going to catch it there for a second. Spins in the middle of the circuit. That's a really awkward place to be stuck, and just tries to get out of it. He's gone front on into a couple of cars coming through. He's done well. They've done well, actually, to avoid making contact. But that's super unfortunate for Darren Walden. He now finds himself back down in 29th. I'd say that damage has probably been repaired by now. I'll explain why he spent such a long time in the pit lane. But this is Dean Logsdale. He fancies himself a shot at provisional second place here. And Stephen Varga as well. He wants to get past Jim Capronis in front, maybe get up to the back of Mitch Wood before this race is over.
Yeah, maybe a possibility. Bit of love for, I assume it's Luke Allman out there, sim racer, because I'm looking through and going, no, it must be Luke Allman that we're looking at. That looks like a, who's that that's just dropped back? That David Logsdale. That's in the back there, or one of the lapped cars by the look of things, because he's just gotten well out of the way as they roll on through. Stephen Varga, I just want to call out his drive so far as he goes past David Coleman in the pits. That has him up 15 spots so far in race 2. So certainly the just about the biggest mover. It'll depend on where David Coleman comes out again, but he's looking like he's on a pretty similar kind of run at the moment. It's been a very, very solid drive from Vargas, even though he did start a long way further back in this one. Definitely made the move up through the field to get himself back up towards the front.
Yeah, he's got a really good display, as has David Coleman. He's up 16 spots, so 15 spots, 16 spots for these guys in this race. That's a really good performance. Just shows that they got so unlucky in that first race. Look at this onboard with Luke Ullman. I love the onboards of these cars. Just how you can see when they go across the curbs, just how much the body leans, and just aggressive with the suspension in these cars and how much they bounce. But you can look at the elevation change of the circuit, the flow you can get around here. I love the camera that we've cut to as well. This is the first time I'm seeing one of these. We're actually looking at the driver in the rig, and you can see in real time his inputs through his steering wheel and just how that translates onto the track. And he's got all the screens there with all the data, so he's got a lot of numbers above his head there as well to try and keep up with. But he's very much eyes just fixed forward at the moment, looking at the back of Dave Coleman.
Oh, absolutely. He's looking at an opportunity to reel that in, and also probably having a bit of a glance behind to Alistair Bales, who's not too far off the back either. But yeah, always good to get these shots. You see his rev lights just giving a bit of a flash there in the background as well. Look, I'm a VR person myself, honestly. I don't know how I'd go with the triples. I know it's a pretty divisive kind of topic when it comes to sim racing. I know everyone loves all of the gear that you can get added on, but mate, I can't get past the immersion that I get from VR. Here we go, Stephen Varga getting the move done, but Jim Capronis fighting hard, rides the curb, squeezes Vargas into the wall. Varga says no thank you, just hold his line, and will come away with an extra position. So now up 16 into 11th, looking very, very strong. Not too far behind. Joel Osterwald is thinking about the same thing with James Hardy. Can't quite get alongside as they come up through the S's, but he's going to be right there on the tail as they get to the bus stop. So a bit of an opportunity here perhaps, but Hardy has a very, very solid run up the back straight. It's not going to be enough for Osterwald to have a go at it this time around, and he is running out of time. Speaking of, though, running out of time, Wayne Walker, I don't think he's going to have the pace here tonight to reel Connor Nixon in. Nixon still maintaining almost 2 seconds. You can see him up the road. There goes Connor Nixon. There's Wayne Walker. But the gap between each of these drivers, in the absence of an error at this point, means it's pretty unlikely that we're going to see a change in the podium order by the time this one wraps up. Anything can happen, sure, but with pit stops on, lap 18 for Connor Nixon, lap 17 for Walker and Logsdale, their tyres are going to carry them home very, very comfortably at this point.
Yeah, and they've just sort of started to spread out. Wayne Walker's just dropped off. He's about a second and a half off now. And then Logsdale's about a second back on Wayne Walker. He's going to need a very good push late in this race. Here he goes. This is David Coleman now. Fishing Motorsports having a look at the back of Mick Clifton, trying to find his way past and get himself 70s. He's in a bit of a de facto battle with Stephen Varga for who can make up the most spots in this race. They're both tied on 16 at the moment. I'm sure David Coleman would like to make it 17 draws alongside down the front straight, gets the side draft, just sort of walks past Mick Clifton there and will get himself up into 15th place. And that is 17 spots in this race for David Coleman. Started 32nd on the grid and now finds himself inside the top 15, which is just an absolutely wonderful effort from the Fishing Motorsports driver. Damon Fisher said he was in the pit lane very briefly.
Just blinking in and out there. That'll happen. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have to run some stress tests here tonight, because it seems the new Watkins Glen is really challenging our broadcast rig here this evening. We're getting a few blinks in and out. Hopefully not causing too many issues for you at home. I do apologise if it is. I'm trying to make sure we don't miss any of the action here as we see James Hardy bouncing over those curbs. He's surely going to pick up a slowdown for that. Joel Osterwald right on his tail now as they come down through the loop and head towards the boot. But looks as though Hardy's gotten away with that one somehow. It has cost him, though, a lot of pace. And Osterwald right on his tail. They come through the chute and start to head towards the toe. And Osterwald just thinking about where he's going to make this move at this point.
Yeah, it's probably not necessarily a matter of if, it's a matter of more of when. For Joel Osterwald, when is going to be the best opportunity for him to try and get past James Hardy, because he's definitely got a lot more pace behind the wheel at the moment than the Quantum Racing car in, or 266, sorry, Sim Racing car. No, it is the Quantum Racing car. I had that right the first time.
Yeah, James Hardy in front and Quantum, 266 behind.
But, yep, had that right the first time. Oh, that's a little look up the inside into 9. He's definitely not close enough on that occasion. You could see a little bit of a right front lock there for one of those cars. Couldn't quite see who the smoke was coming from, but they're both pushing really hard at the moment to try and get past each other. There's not a lot more opportunities. We're on lap 24. These guys are about to start lap 24, so they only get 2 more goes at this, and Darren Walden's got himself a slowdown now in 29th place. So I think James Hardy did really well there to get away with not getting a slowdown from the iRacing Golds, because they can be pretty harsh sometimes in getting out those slowdowns.
Tell you what, he's certainly pushing the limits there, getting right to the outside of that coloured curving. You put 4 wheels off that and you're picking up a slowdown through there. So he's using every bit of track that he possibly can. Caperonis up ahead picks up a slowdown through the bus stop as well. So that's going to bring him back a little further towards Ken Ladder. Osterwald, again, just not quite close enough to have a run at it. And Hardy's line through here, there's only really 2 or 3 different lines you can take through that bus stop. And it looks as though Osterwald is just getting him a little bit of extra pace on the exit, because he's been closing right in on James Hardy time and time again here. And so they're staying nice and close, but Hardy putting in a fair effort at the moment to stay ahead. He hasn't really had to go defensive yet. He's just trusting his pace. We've got a lap car up ahead into the wall in the background. Looks like Ashley Hall, a lapped car, has just gone into the wall at the chute. Not surprising, it does happen. Connor Nixon's just crossed the line, which means we are onto our final lap. The white flag is being flown, but we're keeping our eyes on this battle just a little bit further back. You can see Hardy just trying to use the lapped car to maybe just put a little bit of limitation here on what Osterwald has up his sleeve. And at the moment, it seems to be getting the job done. But I tell you what, Osterwald right there as they come towards the line to start their final lap.
Yeah, these guys are one of the closest battles on track at the moment. David Coleman's also not too far at the back of Damon Fisher, so he's trying to go another spot up the order. But these guys are also sort of locked in this little battle. They get one more run at this. This is the last run down the front straight for Joel Osterwald. Can he find a way up the inside? I don't think he's going to be close enough braking zone. He might have a little bit of a think about it. No, he doesn't. He's going to have to get a really good exit off one here. This is where he needs the run to get the move done into the bus stop in the slipstream. I don't think he's close enough again. You have to be so close here with how fast these Chevys are in a straight line.
But he's not far off,
right up, though. Maybe I'm about to eat my words with how close he is. The run he got up the hill was absolutely sensational. Covering the inside is James Hardy. Joel Savas to look to the outside. Compromise line for James Hardy. He had to use a lot of curb there. He might get a slowdown. I think he got away with it, though. Heavy early on the brakes into the outer loop. He sort of almost brake checked there a little bit there. Pretty much, I reckon he's almost pushing him through that outer loop and now through the chute down towards the boot for the final time. But Connor Nixon, he's just sort of walked away with this one, hasn't he? This battle's going on, but Connor Nixon is going to win the second race, his third race of the season. He's really on fire this season, isn't he?
Absolutely is. Wayne Walker not too far behind in the end, but still a few battles on track that we want to keep an eye on as the rest of the field kind of makes their way through. Connor Nixon will celebrate and use up the last of his tyres. I do want to catch a few of these late battles, though, because David Coleman will absolutely have one more run at this as he comes around onto the main straight. Damon Fisher's going to try and cover him off. That's always tricky when the car in front disappears. But David Coleman will push as hard as he can. I don't think he's quite going to get there. Luke Orman as well won't quite have enough to take it to Mick Clifton. And in the end, it looks like Joel Osterwald just overcooked it a little bit, and James Hardy will hold on to P20. But the night really belonging to Connor Nixon in the Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport entry takes the points there. And I was saying to you off air beforehand, mate, I reckon it's one of the best looking liveries. I remember seeing this come out for the first time, a few seasons back, before these guys were actually even racing here. But it's a beautiful livery. They've done an amazing job of it.
Definitely one of the most best presented teams on the grid. That is just, it's absolutely wonderful livery. It's amazing what some of these guys can cook up in the livery creators for this game. But what a result for Connor Nixon. Wayne Walker really he tried his best. He threw everything at it today, but Connor Nixon, he just had his numbers in. He found his way past in that second stint and then just managed to stay in front after that second stop and held on for the third stint. Just sort of walked away a little bit towards the end. I think Wayne Walker reeled him back in a little bit, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was tight at places for sure, but Connor Nixon just too strong. And while we wait for the official results to come through, we might just start to have a chat to a couple of the drivers that are making their way into the green room. We'll start off with third place tonight, Dean Logsdale. Dean, welcome to the booth, mate. It's great to be chatting to you. We were saying earlier, as we sort of brought Isaac here up to speed, so often you've got a fair bit of pace behind you and it just hasn't translated to results probably quite as often as you deserve. Tonight, though, a nice little podium spot to finish off your night. How are you feeling?
I'm chuffed, mate. That was I've had a rough start to the season. I just straight away gelled with the track and done a bit of practice with the boys at 9.5 and really happy with that.
Good to hear. How was the racing out on track tonight? I know it was the tricky one to get a pass done anywhere, but in the end, you managed to hold on pretty nicely throughout.
Yeah, look, it was almost impossible to pass. I stuck my first start. I'd Sean McNamara messaged me and say, "Oh, you must have started in third gear," because that's what it looked like. But no, it was good. Like everyone was clean and it was good racing, and I just need to get some good results under my belt. And obviously Wayne's always quick, and haven't done a lot of driving with Connor, but he came in the session and was struggling, but by the time halfway through the first race he was well up to speed. So it's good fun.
Well, mate, solid result for tonight, and hopefully the turning point for you in this early stage of the season. Before we let you get back to it, anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'll say hello to my mum this week, I think. So
she
always watches the races, and I want to thank the boys at 9.5. They're all a great bunch of lads, and it's been made even better because Sean van der Meulen just rejoined the team today. So he's come back home, and thank you boys, and putting on a great broadcast, and our sponsors, Racecraft, RSW Graphics, track school track days and racing is.
I mean, always a pleasure to get to chat to you, mate. It doesn't happen often enough, but hopefully the sign of things to come for the rest of your season, eh?
Yeah, I hope so. Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Fingers crossed. Dean Logsdale takes P3 there tonight in race number 2. And we go now to our carry champion. But of course, he's under a bit of pressure this time around. Wayne Walker, welcome to the booth, mate. A bit of a tough one out there tonight. Just couldn't quite find the pace you're after, or just Connor Nixon too quick tonight.
Oh, I think a combination of Connor just having too much pace, and yeah, I was kind of struggling a little bit, trying to get the car turned. It just, I don't know, for some reason tonight, like other nights in practice, it didn't feel like that. Just tonight, couldn't get a feel for it.
Yeah, so track conditions playing their part as always. I mean, Watkins Glen, it's a tough track at the best of times, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not one of my favourites.
Well, mate, look, we've still got plenty of good tracks ahead. With what, 8 rounds left after this one, still plenty of time to try it again, and certainly still in the hunt after that result tonight. The question for me, I suppose, is there any light on the horizon for you in the next couple of rounds? Have you got some stuff to look forward to here that might just get you across the line in first place?
I'm not sure, to be honest. There's a few tracks coming up that I like, a few others that I don't really like. So I don't know, the next one, Algarve, I like that track. So we'll see. Hopefully I can get my shit together and sort of get back up the front again.
Well, mate, if history has told me anything about you as a driver, it doesn't seem to matter much whether you like the track or not. You're always fast everywhere you go. So I've got some faith, and I'm sure Connor's not going to have an easy run for the rest of this season. Mate, very, very well done tonight. As always, a chance for you to say hello to a few people or to give a shout out to the sponsors if you like.
Yeah, just same as always. Congratulations to Connor and Dean. Everyone who helps run the league, race control, you guys for the broadcast. You do an amazing job every week. Our sponsors, Abbey Timber, Primal Wheels, Box and Lock Narang, and Modern Deck. And yeah, all my teammates from Accelerate Sim Racing, for all their help and encouragement.
Well, mate, always a pleasure to have you along, and congrats again on another great set of results tonight, Wayne.
Thank you.
Wayne Walker there takes out second place in our race number 2. And last but certainly not least by any stretch, we'll have ourselves a little bit of a chat to, if I can get him into the room, mind you. Whatever reason, Discord just doing Discord things and not letting me drag him on down. Here we go. Connor Nixon finally managed to drag you on into the booth, mate. Welcome on back, and congrats on a pretty hard-fought win this week. How did it feel out in front?
Yeah, hi guys. It wasn't too bad. I felt like this week was a lot harder. I definitely didn't feel like I had the pace that I had at Phillip Island. Practice, we really struggled. I'm looking, top 10, and I'm like, oh, this is not great. And then got into qualifying, put a decent time in, and then saw the top 5 invert, and kind of went well. We're staying in 5th, and then that got flipped, and we went from there, and showed my true pace at the end there. So look, I'm happy with the result, but it was definitely not as dominant as round 1. So I'm happy to walk away with some points, and just be consistent.
One of the things we were looking for tonight, we were getting a bit of the inside scoop on the setup and of course the fuel restrictions this evening, making it pretty difficult to decide on a pit strategy. How did you find the prep work for it? Did you guys come in with a pretty solid idea, or was it a bit more seat of your pants this week?
Look, last week it was a bit of a, I had a plan going into the race, just never doing this type of racing before. But this week I was just sitting with Sean and Dean this week just to have a chat, nothing else. Sean was like, well, you can go from lap 8 onwards, but it just seems like the overcut's always the way to go. Like the undercut just never works out. So yeah, just did an overcut again, and yeah, it seemed like it worked really well. It seemed like the setup this week just had no rear grip, so yeah, it seemed like the overcut was definitely the way, and just went from there.
Look, not the only driver struggling with the on-track performance of the car here tonight, but you've made it work for you, mate. A very, very tidy set of results for you once again. And, of course, an opportunity for you to say hello to anyone watching at home, or, of course, give a shout-out to your sponsors before we let you go.
Thanks, guys. Just shout out you guys. You guys always, I watched the broadcast. It was awesome. And then, yeah, just all the sponsors in the car. iLiveries, HRS, Revolution, Race Gear. There you go. We've got it right this week. But, yeah, just shout out to the team as well. But yeah, really appreciate the broadcast and league.
Mate, great to have you back in the booth once again, and I suspect it won't be the last time we get to chat to you this season. Plenty of pace behind the wheel there, and a very, very fun one to watch here at Watkins Glen tonight. Congrats again, mate.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll see you next week. Hopefully it keeps. Hopefully I keep it up, basically.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Connor Nixon takes the win in race number 2. And I tell you what, Isaac, that's some confidence there. He's looking forward to seeing us next week, and I reckon if he keeps racing like that, it's not going to be a huge surprise that we get to chat to him at least once a week in some capacity. Hey.
Oh, no doubt. You know, it's been a trend so far this season. He has been a strong performer in Phillip Island. He's a strong performer this week. I'm no doubt next week at Algarve we'll be talking to him once again. But yeah, what a result for Connor Nixon tonight, taking out that race win, and Wayne Walker as well. After a rough start to the season at Phillip Island, he had a bounce back that I think he really needed this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Dean Logsdale picking up some quality points there as well. Matt Vanderkran's still in amongst it. Jason Bentz as well. Then Michael Whiting in 6th ahead of Sean Vandermeulen, who, promise you, Sean, we will get you updated back to 9.5 before next week. You know, you've got to let me know these things in advance, mate. Come on, work with me. Andrew Rushworth in 8th with Chad Vigar and Mitch Wood rounding out your top 10 in race number 2. Provisionally speaking, this is what that does to the standings, of course, before any drop rounds or penalties are applied here. Connor Nixon and Jason Bentz remain on top of the field, but Dean Logsdale looks like he'll be ready to jump up a few positions. Ken Latta still in the hunt, though. The big mover, Wayne Walker, tonight's results are certainly significantly better than what he had at Phillip Island, so he'll jump up 11 spots. Matt Vanderkran jumps up 12 as well into 9th. But of course, all of this is a little early on to really say much about it, isn't it, Isaac?
It's only round 2. We've got plenty of rounds to go. It's a 10-round season, so we're only probably, 20% of the way through the season now, so that's really not a lot in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, we've got Algarve next week, Belle Isle. We've still got plenty of challenging circuits, plenty of exciting circuits to go, and this is going to run all the way through to December. So there you go. There's the season schedule off to the side there. So we go to Algarve, then Belle Isle, Sandown. I'm very excited for that. These cars.
Sandown's always a cracker with these guys. Absolutely, it's the favourite for a lot of these drivers, and yeah, one of my favourites to watch as well. So looking forward to that one. Absolutely.
I'm actually looking forward to Mexico. I think the Jimenez Rodriguez, that circuit is it's definitely. It was great to see NASCARs rolling around there, and I think, as I said, if a NASCAR's good at a road course, I have no doubt Supercar's also going to be very good at that road course. So I'm really excited to see how these cars go there, and obviously finishing off with Bathurst doesn't get more iconic than that.
No, of course not. It's a wonderful way to finish the season and indeed finish the year, but still a lot to happen between now and then. Isaac, thanks so much for jumping in the booth with us tonight, mate. It's been a pleasure having you along.
No, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure being in the booth with yourself, and yeah, had so much fun watching this racing. Hopefully get to come back and do it a bit more before the season's over.
No doubt we'll find an opportunity, mate. That will, of course, though, bring round 2 of the SolarGuard Supercar Championship, Season 6 with Alliance Sim Racing, to a close for this evening. It's been a night of some pretty high-speed racing and some pretty bold moves throughout, but as always, delivering a great bit of viewing for everyone there at home. A big thank you once again to our major sponsor, SolarGuard St. Gobain, for their incredible support, and of course to the usual suspects, Quantum Tint Solutions, AA West Automotive, 24/7 Sim Services for their amazing race control, and Nicol Photography, who comes out with some wonderful photos after every single one of these events. Next week, of course, we move on and we head to Portugal for the rolling hills of the Algarve Grand Prix circuit. It's going to be another technical challenge for these drivers and another chance to move up the leaderboard. Until then, though, it's been a wonderful night of racing, and on behalf of everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcast, thank you so much at home for watching along. Appreciate all of the love and support that we've had in the chat tonight from all over the world, but from everyone here at ASR and our partners at SolarGuard, it is goodbye for now.